Clara was a strong, independent, and rational woman. With a degree in the exact sciences, she had dedicated her life to logic, data, and facts. She had lost her parents in a car accident when she was still a teenager, and since then, she carried a deep resentment toward the idea of God. If God exists, why would he allow something like that, was the question that echoed in her mind. At 35, Clara had a promising career, but her personal life was empty. She didn't believe in anything beyond what she could touch or measure. Her circle of friends was made up of people who shared the same disbelief in religion. Clara couldn't understand how anyone could believe in something as abstract as a loving God. In conversations, she always made a point to expose her critical view, dismantling with arguments any attempt to introduce faith or spirituality into her life. One day, Clara was called to help her best friend, Julia, who was facing a serious illness. Julia was a Christian, and even in the most difficult moments of her life, she maintained an unshakable faith. Clara saw this as an illusion Julia used to console herself, but out of love for her friend, she avoided criticism. Over time, Clara grew closer to Julia and witnessed her struggle up close, intrigued by the peace she seemed to have, even in the face of impending death. On a particularly difficult night, Clara overheard Julia praying. She was asking God to comfort Clara, who was filled with doubt. That touched Clara in a way she hadn't expected. How could Julia be concerned about her, when it was Julia herself who was sick? At that moment, Clara felt something she couldn't explain. Her skepticism wavered for the first time in years. Julia passed away a few weeks later, and Clara was devastated. She felt an even greater emptiness than when she lost her parents. Julia's death stirred questions within Clara that she could no longer ignore. The peace with which her friend faced death, the unconditional love she showed, and the serenity in the midst of suffering deeply moved Clara. Desperate, she decided to do something she had never done before. She entered a church. It was a small church in Julia's neighborhood, where Clara knew her friend used to attend. She sat in the very last pew, expecting nothing to happen. But as the service went on, Clara was struck by the pastor's words, which seemed to be directed straight at her. He spoke about the pain of loss, the love of God, and the promise of eternal life. Clara couldn't hold back her tears. At the end of the service, an elderly lady who knew Julia approached Clara and hugged her. She said, "Your friend spoke about you often. She prayed for you every night. God is with you, even if you don't know it yet." Something inside Clara broke. That night, for the first time in her life, she prayed, asking God that if he were real, he would reveal himself to her in a clear way. The days that followed were intense for Clara. She began attending church regularly, though she still carried many doubts. Her reason constantly battled with what she was beginning to feel. But with each service, with each conversation, she felt that something was changing in her heart. One day, Clara was approached by a church missionary who invited her to attend a spiritual retreat. Reluctant but curious, Clara accepted. During the retreat, there was a moment of deep reflection and group prayer. It was there that Clara experienced something she never thought possible. An indescribable peace filled her being, a sense of presence that she couldn't explain in rational terms. She remembered Julia's words, and for the first time, she understood what her friend had felt. That night, Clara finally surrendered to God. She cried for all she had suppressed over the years, for the pain she carried, for the anger and the emptiness. She felt embraced, loved, and, above all, forgiven. Clara's life changed radically after that encounter. Her skepticism gave way to a genuine faith, though her search for spiritual understanding remained a continuous process. She began serving in the church and used her academic knowledge to help with social and educational projects, always emphasizing the love and empathy she experienced during her journey of conversion. Clara also started sharing her story with others who, like her, carried doubts or resistance. Her testimony became a source of inspiration for many who saw in her an example of transformation. The pain she felt from losing Julia was healed by the certainty that, one day, they would meet again. Clara's journey continues, but now she walks with the assurance that she is no longer alone. The emptiness that consumed her has been filled with a love that transcends logic and reason, and just as Julia had prayed for her, Clara now prays for all those who have yet to find the peace she has found. May God bless you and your family. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share this video. Thank you.